Relationships and karma. I'm going to speak now about karma and relationships. The first thing to say is that as an individual, you have relationship karma that exists separately from your karmic relationships. You have relationship karma that is yours, that has nothing to do with an agreement with another person, or an arrangement, or a shared experience. Your relationship karma can be viewed in the patterns of how you relate to people, in viewing what it is you are trying to achieve through your various relationships. What are you trying to get? What are you trying to get done? Your relationship karma is what you carry with you. Karma is defined here as beliefs, deep-seated beliefs about what other people are for, why you should want to be in a relationship with them, what you think you're supposed to be getting from relating with them, all of this. Every relationship in your life exists to teach you about you. Each exists to enhance your experience of being you, whether they are experienced as positive or negative. They show you who you are. These people are showing up. They appear in front of you to reflect energy that you yourself are carrying. In one sense, all the people in your life are imaginary. In one sense, you are the only real person because you are the center of your education. People come into your life and leave when they do to support your learning. When you need to learn something, somebody appears. When you have learned it, that person disappears, one way or another. Because your relationships reflect your energy field, because they are a manifestation of what you are learning as a human, everything that occurs in your relationships is your creation. You have created all of these dynamics. You have created each of these patterns in order to learn what it means to have healthy relationships. Where your relationships do not work well, do not serve you and your purpose, or they seem difficult, or they are unbalanced or unkind or abusive, look to when you were young and your relationships with the people in your family. Are you now repeating relationships from the past? This is your relationship karma, where it has nothing to do with the other people in your life now. It is out of synchronization. It is out of time. You are now attempting to have a relationship with your parent when that relationship did not go well when you were a child. Look at your relationships and honestly evaluate what it is that you think you will get from them. Look with clarity at what you think, what parts of you believe you are achieving through having that relationship. This is necessary when relationships are not working. It is instructive when they are working. You might not see a need to do this when they are working. Do it anyway. Do it because you want to understand who you are trying to be, who you are becoming. Look to your experience of past relationships to see whatever it is that seems or feels unresolved from the past. It will be very important for you to release other people from your past of the responsibility of doing for you or giving the thing to you they did not give you. If you are creating relationships now to make someone responsible now to give you what someone in the past did not give you, you are not learning what it is you are trying to learn. Release those people from the past of the responsibility of loving you in the ways that you needed then and did not receive. Release them of the responsibility of loving you in the ways that you needed, but they could not or did not do. If you have relationships that exist to meet a need that was not met when you were a child, if you are having those relationships now, look at how you can meet that need within yourself and release everybody else from the responsibility to do it for you. Releasing the people from your past, releasing the people in your present. Understand that all these people in one way are imaginary. They are just reflecting to you what you need to learn. If you are creating relationships again and again, or over the long term that do not give you what you need, it is time to learn how to give yourself that thing that you need, releasing everyone else of the responsibility of giving you what you need. Your relationships now cannot parent you in the way that you were not parented when you were a child. The ways that things on earth are changing for you now, you can no longer perpetuate these patterns. The supports holding up those patterns, the legs on them, are buckling. It is no longer appropriate for your unfoldment as a spiritually mature being to recreate relationships from the past that seem to have failed. It is very important for you to understand additionally that they did not fail. It is time for you to understand in what ways, for what reasons you created those relationships to show you yourself. For some, it is not easy to understand that they chose their parents. There are self-defeating and disempowering phrases in your culture relating that you can't pick your family. Yet this is precisely what you have done. It is important for you to learn why this is the right family for you, why those people provided the perfect environment for your unfoldment in your process as a maturing spiritual being having a human experience. Once you do understand, be grateful to them for agreeing to provide you with the right environment for your unfoldment. Thank them for not giving you what you, in order to mature spiritually, needed to learn to give yourself. Related to this first category of relationship karma are your ideas of fairness and justice and balance. In the ways that you have created your relationships now, consider your version of fairness. Most people find it easy to consider how other people are treating them as fair or unfair. Yet as you have created each of your relationships, your conception of fairness is what is to be looked at. The other people in your life show up to embody your beliefs about fairness. Do you feel that you are heard in your relationships? Do you feel that your opinion is valued? Do you feel an equal in your relationships? Are your desires counted equally in your relationships? Are your needs counted as equal in your relationships? If it is not the case with any of these questions, if the answer is no to any of these questions, understand that these relationships fulfill your request. They manifest what you are asking to learn about through relationship. It is easy to blame other people, to hold other people responsible for our experience of relationships. Yet they are not responsible. We are responsible. We create them. The dynamics we create together, we are each responsible for together. But your experience within relationship is your responsibility. You have created that relationship so that you may learn about creating fairness and equality within relationship. In these present relationships, look to understand why you would have created something imbalanced. Why you would create an imbalanced dynamic with another person. Again, once you understand, then choose to be grateful to these other people for supporting you and learning your relationship lessons. Nothing happens to you without your consent, without your energetic invitation for it to come to you. Be grateful to your teachers. Be thankful for those who are willing to play with you and to help you learn what you are here to learn. The second category of relationship karma is what you would call karmic relationships. These are relationships that you have with others, specific others, where there is specific business to take care of, where there are specific things that need to be done. You experience these kinds of relationships with an urgency and sometimes a drama, being pulled to particular others you feel you may already know. Many of these people you do know from other lives. When people agree to be teachers for each other, this happens at the soul level. The soul knows no time. The soul exists outside time. When you have, at the soul level, agreed to fulfill a contract with another person, and in one life you meet for the first time and feel you know each other, this is a recognition at the soul level that you have agreed to come together to fulfill a particular purpose. This is not the same thing as attraction. This is not the same thing as being drawn to a person for particular qualities that resonate with qualities within you. When you meet these people, your consciousness becomes turned to a particular set of frequencies. At these times, soul is able to come through you. When you are around these people, you cannot separate yourself from soul. In most of our daily lives as humans, it is easy to lose track of the input and the vibration of soul. When we meet what I will call karma mates, humans tend to call them soulmates, we cannot deny our souls. There is an agreement in place between two such people, or rather two such souls, that when they meet as people in their various lives, they will remind each other of who they really are. As most of us come away from soul, move away from soul, and lose track of what the soul feels like, when this experience unfolds, meeting what I call a karma mate, it can be very disconcerting. It can be very jarring to be snapped immediately within hours or even minutes of meeting someone with whom you have such a connection, such that everything will deepen and intensify, and the emotions that come out of you are stronger than you are accustomed to experiencing. All of these agreements are formed because there is love between these souls. At the soul level, love is a commitment to support each other in the particular journey of unfolding each has set out to experience. Each soul says to the other, I will support you in what you are trying to achieve. I will hold space for you to learn about your journey, to learn what you need to know next, whenever and wherever it is that we meet as humans. The quality of the relationship, of the meeting, and of the dynamic, for as long as people whose souls have such agreements in place, will differ greatly. There will be a great variety. If you and I have an agreement such as this one at the soul level, and you are learning about who gets to be strong, when, I may show up as a karma mate for you in one life as someone who denies you strength, as someone who overpowers you, or who abuses you in some way. It is difficult sometimes for humans to understand that it is all of your intense interactions which are productive and karmic. When someone has shown up to teach you, for example, a lesson about strength by preventing you from having it, this is not always understood by humans as a valuable teaching and as a relationship to be grateful for. And yet, it is a valuable teaching. In another life, for two people whose souls have that kind of agreement, the dynamic will be very different. Perhaps the person learning about strength and power will not be willing to allow anyone else to overpower him or her. In that case, when this karma mate comes into the picture, the experience will be very different, but the lesson the person embodies will be the same. Perhaps it is a reminder this time. Perhaps it is an encouragement. Perhaps it is an alternate view of what strength and power are. Or perhaps it is an attempt to overpower the person. In another example, where two souls have agreements to teach each other, to support each other, this example is more obviously about love. In one life, they are mates. In another life, they are not mates, but they meet and they care for each other deeply. This is easy to see as a positive, supportive relationship. And yet, each kind of relationship has, to the soul, the same weight and value. We recognize the importance of being grateful to those who love us, and we are ready to learn the importance of being grateful to those who seem to hurt us, who are also loving us by furthering our unfoldment precisely in the ways that we have asked them to do. I have spoken through this channel about karmic relationships centering on the perception of energetic credit and debt. The agreements at the soul level are clear. I will support you when we meet on your journey. And the other says, and I will support you on your journey. When this happens, the human experience is difficult often. Humans are left with the perception of energetic credit and debt, where in this experience, the process of holding space for each other to learn the lessons in our journeys, we perceive that one didn't do enough, or that one person in this pair did too much. In many of our karmic relationships, we retain in many lives the perception of energetic credit and debt. You owe me something, and I perhaps owe you something. Given the particular opportunities for humans on Earth now to evolve out of a relationship with the past, to evolve out of identifying with who they have been in the past and learning to become present to who they are as multidimensional beings, all such perceptions of energetic credit and debt are ready to be wiped clean. Where there is a perception of credit or debt, perhaps I feel guilty because of how I treated you in the past in another life. Perhaps you are still waiting for me to love you in the way you expected. In all cases where there is a perception of imbalance, of credit or debt, in the love department, energetic credit or debt, this is ready to be washed away. It is time to fully embrace the truth that all of our relationships that persist over our many lives do reflect agreements at the soul level which are categorically, undeniably based in love for each other. Whatever it takes for you to release yourself from the perceived responsibility to another and to release someone else for the perceived responsibility to you and move into an awareness to choose consciousness of the love that you have for each other, this is what you need to do. Whatever it takes for you to come out of the perception of credit or debt, when it comes to love or energy is what you need to do. Humans tend to focus on the negative when it comes to relationship. The guilt that I have for not loving you the way you wanted me to love you, the anger that I have that you did not love me the way I wanted you to love me. You cling to this. You wrap yourselves in an identity around this. You create an identity from this perception of energetic credit and debt. To mature spiritually now, given the changes taking place on earth and the opportunities to step into and embrace and fully embody your true natures as multidimensional beings, you must stop perpetuating this perception of credit and debt. It is easy to cling to the negative, to create an identity around guilt or shame or hurt. It is time to move through history in order to make peace with why you have created it the way you have. It is time to do this in order to be present to who you are now. Understand why you created it. Choose to be grateful for all who have participated in your journey, regardless of whether you feel they wronged you or they loved you. Each kind of treatment has been for your soul's highest good in its unfolding as spirit having human experience. As you go through this process and you identify others with whom you have significant soul contracts, and you may find yourself willing to go through this process while these others to whom you are undeniably, deeply, and importantly connected are not willing to go through this process either with you or on their own, and it may appear to be a stumbling block for you. It may appear to be a brick wall that you cannot move beyond, and yet you can. Because these relationships reflect what you as a soul are intending to learn about yourself, when you learn what it is that you need to learn, when you gain awareness of what it is you set out to learn through these relationships, you can move into your next phase of creating relationship by being grateful to those teachers and by releasing them of their responsibility to do anything further for you. Nobody owes you anything, and you do not owe anyone anything. You embodied wisdom when you created those contracts, when you created the loving grounds for those relationships to occur in the human plane while you were embodied together. Choose now to embody the wisdom that you possess, and in the process, you will bring soul through in a continued way, which releases the other person from his or her perceived responsibility to bring it through for you. Remember we said earlier, the part of the agreement between those whom I would call karma mates is to make each other unable to deny the reality of soul and the particular agenda each has chosen. When you choose to embody more soul in your day-to-day life, the other person is no longer needed to help you do that, to show you that, to reflect to you that you may have forgotten aspects of your soul and who you really are. That is when others are not progressing with you. The other side is when you are not ready to let go of one of these teachers. Let us talk about that. Every one of these teachers, these individuals who bring intense experience to you, or with whom you create intense experience that you cannot deny, and that ultimately connects you to soul, each of them reflects an aspect of you that is very real and that you possess and carry at all times. They agree to help reflect to you this truth about yourself. When you find it is difficult to let one of them go, which is very common, do not judge yourself if you experience this. It is natural when living in duality, which is the state of which humans are currently invited to evolve. Humans have been living in duality for as long as there have been humans. It is easy when looking at the world and ourselves through the lens of duality to believe that we need another person for something, a particular other person in the context of karmic relationships we have been speaking about today. It is not obvious to you that you have created this relationship to reflect something about yourself. But once you have this idea, once you know this truth and choose to come into alignment with it, there may still be parts of you unwilling to let go of the other. Because you have created these relationships to reflect who you are, that you may have forgotten over time, it is actually very simple to take this part of yourself, to take back expressing this part of yourself, and come into more alignment with the truth that you are a whole already. You simply have asked other people over time through various relationships in various ways to show this to you. One of the ways that Seth has spoken about this, which I like, is to ask you, who is it that you get to be in that relationship that you are having a difficult time letting go of? This is a way to look at what another person brings out in you. Who do you get to be? That version of you represents a more complete understanding of who you truly are than you had up to the point of meeting and becoming involved with that person. Understood? You are already complete. Observe who you get to be in that relationship and then resolve, because you love yourself and desire to express yourself with more completeness, more of the time, to be that version of yourself, to be that version of you without the other. Your perception that you need the other person to be complete is natural given the history of humans living through the lens of dualism. But it is no longer reflective of your truth that you need someone else to be complete within yourself. You are ready to evolve, to take the next step in your journey of unfolding as a multidimensional being, as spirit having a human experience by becoming willing to be for yourself complete, to express who you are in your fullness without others. Again, others teach us about who we are. Others show us who we are, reflecting to us portions, varieties, dimensions of our own natures. This is what relationship is for, and yet to rely on another to complete you is simply no longer reflective of where you are in your unfoldment. A healthy way to experience relationships with other humans and with your pets too, especially your dogs and cats and horses and other animals, is to observe who it is that you get to be when you are with them. To be grateful for these others for showing up to reveal this to you, and then to take responsibility for the reflection you have received, responsibility for embodying yourself. Since you have had this interaction, this reflection, the revelation of your own true nature, to do it for yourself, to take charge of being more complete. Certain relationships naturally occur earlier in life than later in life. With this example of what I call karma mates, that you might want to call soulmates, there are those that are suited to fit with your journey of unfoldment to occur when you are children, others midlife, and others later in life. This timing has everything to do with the agreements that have been made at the soul level regarding each person's respective journey of unfoldment. There are some people to whom you are connected in this way who appear at a number of different points in your life. The agreement simply from the soul's perspective, covers that much ground. Oh, I can do these 3 things for you. Oh, and you can do these 4 things for me. Meaning, revealing to me these 4 features of my makeup that I might not be sure how to do, or be, or inhabit, or embody, or owned by myself. So some of your karma mate relationships will persist or pop up again at different times in your life. It is very important that you learn to let people go, even or perhaps especially these people to whom you feel more deeply connected than to others. Do not tie the generosity that they have offered to you an expectation that they will continue to give to you in the future. Be grateful to them for the part that they have played, whether it has been difficult for you to have experienced or joyful. They have other agreements to fill, as do you. There is a meme in the human collective consciousness on some parts of the planet that is a romanticized ideal of love. Many of you have a hope, a wish, a dream that there is someone out there for you. This is one of the reasons I do not use the term soul mate, because in some human circles this term has become misunderstood and therefore misused. There is not one person or one soul out there for you. This is a misunderstanding of how the journey works. Now, many of you are dealing with memories from other lives of losing someone you perceived was the one for you. In your lives and other portions of the timeline playing itself out in Earth, space, time dimension, what you tend to call past lives, you have a mate. You meet that mate when you are relatively young, and you spend your life with that mate. Given how the energy tapestry is shifting on Earth now, this backdrop to how all humans are experiencing themselves, ideally to step into and inhabit and embody themselves in more deep ways as multidimensional beings, many of you who have this single mate experience in other lives cannot have that now. Some of you may hope there is a single person for you because you are influenced by that misunderstanding, which is a meme in the collective consciousness on some parts of the earth. Others of you are looking to be reunited with one of your former mates. For some of you, this will happen, yet for many of you, this will not. If you have chosen to process your history and to become a being living in the present tense, you will meet these people from your past and not be able to be with them in the same way you are in different places in the timeline that you are in your soul's other lives together. Therefore, for those of you who are choosing to shift to living in the present tense as multidimensional beings creating your reality and therefore the world around you, there will be parts of self within each of you dealing with loss and perhaps frustrated that relationships didn't work out the way you had hoped they would, or that they don't last, are not stable and secure and permanent. By choosing to be alive on Earth now, you are making the statement that you are choosing to confront your relationship with history and with yourself as being with history. You therefore have more conscious access to what is going on at other places on the Earth time-space continuum in your other lives. Because you have more access to the experiences of these manifestations in the space-time dimension of your soul, you have access to more memories. You therefore will remember more mates, for example. You now need to confront much more than any of these other versions of you in your earth space time history as other versions of manifestations of your soul. You will have to deal more with loss. I encourage you to observe realistically what it is you have learned from these people who have come and gone in your life, that you may think of, for whom you may still feel deeply. Consider what you have learned. Accept responsibility for having created those lessons. Be grateful to these people for spending portions of their energy and their consciousness in supporting you in the unfoldment of yours. And release them from anything that you still want or perceive that you want or need them to do. Release them from all responsibility having to do with your unfoldment. They have played their part. They have loved you. Again, whether it hurt or it was joyful, they have chosen to spend some of their existence holding space for you to learn what you asked the universe to learn. What you stated was a part of your syllabus for your soul's learning in this time-space dimension. Thank you.